What's going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone, and this is your weekly gear news update. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about today, so let's just jump right into it. Please do me a favor, since you are here and you like guitar stuff, hit the subscribe button and the like button. There will also be a link to our podcast. We've got some really cool guests. We just had Tim McNally from McNally Pickups, and I'm recording a really cool episode tomorrow. So make sure you check that out in the links below. Do all the subscribing, liking, all that stuff you normally do. Okay, let's talk about some news. So, first of all, we got to get this one out of the way. This is, I think, a Kickstarter Strum Perfect. So, this is supposed to be for people who are learning guitar and for some reason can't get their strumming hand or motion correct. And so you put this thing on the guitar, it's like a bunch of straps and some pads to hold your arm in the right place so that you can, strum properly. Or you could take lessons. But in YouTube world, where a lot of people are learning from home, maybe people are having problems with this. I don't know. Very interesting. Very interesting piece of kit. It reminds me of those little rubber things people put on their fingers when, anyway. Okay, next. I don't know if you are an NFT person. I like saying non-fungible token. I think it's just a fun word to say. Joe Satriani has announced the new Crystal Planet NFT collection. It's based on like a sci-fi comic book, story-based sort of thing, virtual collector's cards, as well as original audio elements. If NFTs are your thing, and Joe Satriani is your thing, you might want to check this out. Some people are doing really good with these. Okay, let's get into some actual gear that I think is very cool. Solid Gold Effects is coming out with a Bluesbreaker style pedal. So this is, what is this thing called? The Commodore, which I love the name. And you look at the look of it, for those of you who are, not as young as you used to be, you may have remembered the Commodore. I think that was my first computer, actually. Anyway, this reminds me of that sort of like late 70s, early 80s sort of vibe. And it's got the sliders on it. What is it? Got a volume, a tone, a contour, and a drive slider. I have an eye appointment this afternoon. Hopefully this is getting better. Anyway, I really dig the look of this pedal. I don't know how good it's going to be. It's probably going to be awesome, but I just love the whole vibe of this thing. The Commodore by Solid Gold Effects. KHDK, speaking of some wacky cool looking pedals, we had some of these last week too. And Trivium, the band Trivium, two guitar players from that band have gotten together to come up with a clean boost. Apparently this thing is just a good clean boost. Apparently they think it's like the best one ever. So, and it looks awesome. So, and you gotta have a boost. Boosts are cool. We are not done with crazy looking pedals yet this week, because Rude Tech and the Aquabats have gotten together and come up with the Falcon Overdrive. Now, this is, again, they are saying this is the coolest overdrive in the world. For those of you who watch the same kind of TV I watch. Anyways, yes, this is a very cool looking pedal, a drive and a distortion, two functions in one pedal, about $200. And it looks awesome. Again, some of the art on some of this stuff over the last couple weeks has been unbelievable. To get serious for just a second, because of what's going on in the world, we reported on this on Saturday on a live video, but Mike from EHX has made this big announcement that he's not importing Russian tubes anymore to the United States. And of course, the entire internet has gone mad over this, at least in the guitar industry. I got a lot of comments on that video, people saying like, why don't they just make them in the United States? We might talk about this a little bit on our live stream on Thursday. Not the freaking out part, but the trying to really understand what could happen and how we could mitigate problems with this. But one of the things that I'm personally concerned with is not so much the tubes themselves, but also some of the raw materials that go into tubes, one of them being nickel. And nickel affects me a lot. making pickups. So we're just gonna have to see. This is gonna affect a lot of people. It's gonna affect large amp manufacturers like Fender and, you know, all of them really. But it's also going to affect boutique manufacturers as well as prices rise. And for those of you that gig every week, let me know if this has affected you. Get in the comments and let me know if you haven't been able to find tubes or they have gone up in price or whatever. I'm just kind of curious if it's as much of a freak out as we think it could be or what. You know what I mean? Kind of cool to get like a real life vibe on this thing. And then we're probably going to chat about it in a more constructive way during our live stream on Thursday. So I don't know if it's a coincidence or not a coincidence, but we have a bunch of non-tube amp stuff in the news from this point forward. So Hughes and Kettner has come out with a new amp in a box. Pedal in a box. This has been super common lately, and what's really interesting is Hughes and Kettner, obviously, amp people engineering amp in a box with no tubes. This thing's got sag parameters. This thing's a pretty interesting, what is it called again? It's called the StompMan pedal amp. These things are going to be pretty cool. They say it features a fully analog circuit that promises authentic tone and ultra direct dynamic feel akin to larger conventional tube amps, and is said to be a professional grade hub that brings out the best in players' prized effects pedals. So the idea is that this thing will work good on a pedal board with other stuff, and that is probably more key than anything. So you can check this out. I'll leave a link to as much of this stuff as I can find in the description. Some of it's not totally out yet, but I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it in the description so you can check it out. If you do me a favor and use those links to at least look around, that helps the channel and I do appreciate it. Line 6 has just released a package of plugins. They're about 199 bucks. You can use them, you know, as a VST, AU or AAX plugin for, you know, a lot of your modern DAWs. This is called the Metallurgy collection, and it's going to comprise of modern like metal doom tones, and it's gonna have they're fully flushed out with a bunch of effects and a bunch of you know, it's not just a amp profile, it's a bunch of tones put together for 200 bucks, something like that ish, that can be used as a plugin for your metal sounds. Speaking of plugins, Neural DSP has just come out with a Tone King Imperial amp sim. So to get a little more of that vintage vibe, Neural DSP seems to lean a little bit more modern a lot of times. But the Tone King Imperial MK2 amp sim for Neural DSP, going down the same road. Plug into a computer, make good sounds. More people are doing this than you think. So, just so you know, people are actually doing it, and it's sounding good. The ESP Custom Shop has just released, what is this thing called? The Nosfer, I'll put the spelling to it right here on the screen. I don't know how to say it. All I know is it's pyrograph, which pyrograph is sort of like a super fancy soldering iron, but somebody actually burns by hand onto the finish of the guitar, which is kind of cool. We've done pyrograph stuff before. It's very, very cool. Super unique piece of art, all by hand. And yeah, so there you go. This is it's an ESP guitar, but it's obviously super fancily appointed with this burned in graphic on it. It is also very expensive. I think it's like 18,000 bucks, and it's in very limited quantities. I would imagine they're gonna sell out faster than they can make them, because that's the way this crazy stuff goes. But very interesting guitar and pretty cool tech. If you've ever looked into pyrography on a guitar, it's pretty awesome. These next few stories excite me very much. Kramer unveils the SM1-H. It's the single hum with the double action tremolo, I guess the Floyd, but sculpted top with a humbucker in it. Like, this thing is beautiful. It's got a Seymour Duncan JB humbucker, and then it's got series parallel switching, which Series parallel switching on a single humbucker guitar, wicked cool idea. Wicked cool idea, and I love the finishes. I think, oh man, see, and this is tough. I really like purple guitars. I don't know if I'd go for that orange or that silver or that purple. It's hard to make a decision. This is a very cool guitar. Really edgy look, but still kind of that classic Kramer vibe. I really like this guitar. Squier by Fender refreshes their entire contemporary series. Well, a lot of it anyway. Very interesting kind of combinations here. We've got a Jazzmaster with active pickups in it. We've got a Starcaster with active pickups in it, which is sort of weird. And then of course a Jazzmaster, or a jazz bass and a precision bass. That makes sense. A lot of basses are active, but that Starcaster with an active set of pickups in it is a very interesting move, as well as the finishes, because you know it's not a burst or something, it's like a modern finish. Let me know in the comments if you would use one of these. This is a very interesting move for Fender. Now, you saw the thumbnail. I really think that Fender is starting to pay attention to people who are asking about stuff. People want new, they want different. This is new and different. I mean, obviously they're familiar models, but this is new and different for sure, and we're not done yet. The next thing I think people are paying attention to is I think they're gonna come out with, or they've confirmed that they're gonna come out with a cheaper version. I don't know what that means, because the original edition of this guitar was 15 grand, so I'm not really sure what this price is gonna be, but Mike Mcready's signature Stratocaster. When this guitar came out, I wanted to jump through hoops to get it because, yes, Mike Mcready Stratocaster would be absolutely incredible, but there's no way I'm gonna spend 15 grand for one. So what are they gonna cost? That is the question. There's a lot of space between $0 and $15,000, so I don't know where this is gonna fall, but I'm really excited to find out, because this is something that I'm personally very interested in. So every year, Fender comes out with a bunch of super crazy custom shop stuff. Some of it is like available only to dealers when they do their like dealer showcase stuff every year. You know, a lot of times they did this in person in the past. I don't exactly know how they're doing it this year, but I heard about this a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't say anything. They announced it last week, the HotWheels version, 16 guitars, super custom stuff. Again, really high end, crazy appointments. Pretty niche, but as you can imagine, they're all sold. So here's another model where I think Fender is really paying attention. I think people for many years have been wanting to know about the Fender Meteora. When are we gonna get one? Because they did the Parallel Universe thing a few years ago, then they did a super limited custom shop, it's like 8 grand or something ridiculous. So now we've got is this like a Player Plus sort of thing? So you're looking at like $1149, something like that. It's got an S1 switch in it, a couple of humbuckers. There's also a bass version. So now you're talking about a guitar that is within reach of way more players than it used to be, because it was such a limited thing. And this extreme offset kind of feel has been asked for. I know in the comments of a lot of our videos, I mean, I'm not saying Fender's watching our stuff, but I know for sure that a lot of people have been asking about this guitar. So it's really cool to see Fender paying attention and bringing a cool guitar to the masses that was previously sort of unobtainium for a lot of people. Very cool guitar. Do me a favor and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. Go follow the podcast, watch the videos, do whatever we do. Do me a favor and shop around, see if you can find any of this stuff for yourself, and let me know what you think of any of it. The weird cushiony thing, NFTs, we went all over the place today in today's news. We have a live stream on Thursday. We are going to chat a little bit about the state of where guitar stuff's going, because this is really interesting to me. From obviously a manufacturer's perspective, I've got 30 pickups on the table right here that we're making and shipping out today and tomorrow. So, you know, this affects a lot of people, me specifically, but a lot of people. And I want to know from you what you think. Get in the comments, please be nice. And we will talk to you maybe even, well, I guess tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow night and the live stream.